the Irish television program called Primetime, which has been around since 1992. Ask any Irish person you'll ever meet and they'll know it. Asked me to help film an item for their climate special. In that episode it was about what Ireland can learn from Amsterdam, concerning sustainability and recycling and stuff like that. In this video I'll answer a few questions that Primetime asked me. A tiny bit of this was used in the final edit of the climate special. Links down below. But these are the raw, unfiltered answers to the questions Ireland asked me. Can you explain why cycling is so important in Amsterdam? Cycling is one of the main ways to travel from A to B. A to B, or not to B. A, B.
A B.
One, it is much quicker than the public transport or than taking the car. And you have the sense of freedom. Cars and the public transport, you know, they have to wait for each other, for traffic. I mean, we're also waiting for traffic lights, cyclists over here. But we're always going past cars. Why it's so important? I mean, important, yeah, it's just the natural way of going from A to B. How do they keep so many cars away from the city? Is there a charge for having cars in the city? In Dublin, we have far too many cars. Yes, a charge for having cars in the city. Well, if you want to park your... Oh, I wanted to say bike. If you want to park your car in the city center, it costs €7.50 per hour. That's, I don't know what it is in Irish currency, valuta. So anyways, €7.50 per hour to park your bike in the center. Unless you live in the center, then you got a special card or something. It's much cheaper, of course. Otherwise, no one in the center, a citizen, would take a car. But if people from outside the center want to park their car over there, well, then it's super expensive. And because it's so expensive, hardly anyone is parking their car in the center. People decide to take the public transport or the bike. And the people who decide to take the public transport are usually the ones who are not born and raised here in Amsterdam, maybe expats or something. Okay, but besides that, there's also a lot of innovations like bicycle streets. Since 2018, the first bicycle street has been officially introduced here in Amsterdam. A bicycle street is a street where cars are also allowed, but it's designed as a bicycle road. The color of the road is pink, because bicycle roads in Amsterdam are pink. And cars have to go a maximum of 30 kilometers per hour. So yeah, it's like a giant bicycle road where cars are driving in slow motion, kind of like that. Other innovations are also happening. Stuff like making regular bicycle roads wider and wider every time they're being restyled. And car roads through the years are made narrower and narrower. I mean, it's still just wide enough for a car to fit through. And the bicycle roads are being wider and wider. People can cycle like 2 or 3 in a row. And there's even a bit of grass maybe on the left in between the car road and the cyclist, the bicycle road. So yeah, super relaxed for us, the cyclists. And besides that, there's also other innovations, or how do you call it, like changes in the law. Since 1.5 years ago, scooters, I don't know if you call it, because we call them scooters in Dutch. First they were allowed on bicycle roads, but since 1.5 years ago, they are being forced to go on car roads, on most bicycle roads, with a helmet. And since this law came to be, more and more people are driving electric bicycles, e-bikes, which is much nicer than all those scooters, you know, like the sound, the smell. No, the electric bikes, no smell at all. And yeah, since 1.5 years or something, let's say, since the pandemic actually, more and more people are riding around on an e-bike. I myself, unfortunately, am still on an old school bike, but eventually I'll also switch over to just an e-bike on the side. The third question. Has the cycling network changed over the last few years, and is it always improving? As I maybe said before in the other question, previous one, it's constantly changing. It's constantly being restyled, refurbished. There were many roads that were just separated. I mean, car roads and bicycle roads were on the same asphalt, and just the separation in between was just a painted line. But now many of those roads are being or are restyled and are still being restyled into separate bicycle lanes, separate car roads, piece of grass in the middle, like I said in the previous question. Yeah, so this really improves the bicycle, the cycling experience here in the city. And I think actually in the whole country stuff like this is happening, maybe and maybe not in between the cities. Like there are of course some roads where it's still like in the old school days, but where it's separated with a line of paint, I mean, but in the city it becomes more and more relaxed to take the bike. And I always tell people, because usually people are a little bit scared to take the bike here in Amsterdam, like ho ho ho, but I tell them this is definitely the place that you should try to go and take the bike. Question number 4. Can you see how the cycling system reduces cars and therefore is much better for the environment? And is this good for the Dutch donut economy, which is all about improving sustainability and being aware of the climate? I'm not really an expert in the donut economy, but I learned a lot about it today for this item. So I thought about it, and cycling is for sure helping the donut economy. So which categories of the donut are for sure being improved? Energy. You get energy from cycling. It's good for your health. So that's for sure, because you're moving. Social equality. Because sometimes when it's still like that, sometimes, you know, oh, a female behind the wheel with a car, but you never hear anything about that with cycling. You save money because cycling is free, unless of course you have to repair your tire, but usually it costs much less, and a tire maybe happens once every few months. I mean a flat tire. And it's not just the cycling system that is reducing cars in the city, but it's also just other factors like the prices which are being raised for parking your car in the center or in neighborhoods close to the center, or making the roads narrower. Everything is connected, and everything is helping to make the city more and more bike friendly and less car friendly. I'm sorry, car owners. And what you see here now as well is that the rich people who would usually drive around in their Ferraris or Lamborghinis are now driving around on their electric bicycles with alarms. And there's different kinds of electric bikes, but you also got fancy electric bikes. Bikes with a chip. If someone tries to steal it, people see on their phone immediately where it is. The alarm will go off. Beep, beep, beep. I'm talking about a bicycle here. What I mean to say with this is that everyone is accepting the bicycle as an equal transportation device. I don't know if those are the right words, but I'm sure you understand what I mean. Question number 5. As a person living in Amsterdam, is it hard to be climate friendly all the time? Some people in Ireland feel it is expensive and something more for the wealthy people who can afford to pay for electric cars and sustainable homes. Okay, well, I just now said about the electric bikes, but that's not just for the rich people. It's also everyone who was driving around on their scooter, like the 16-year-olds, they switched to electric bikes as well. For the rest, it's not something for the rich people over here. It's because we're just living, I mean, it's the natural way of living. But what is helping is that the government, the municipality of Amsterdam and the government of the Netherlands and all the other cities are helping. They're supporting green initiatives, stuff like, for example, my building, which is a rental house. On the roof, they put some solar panels. They asked me and all my neighbors in the whole street, do you want to have solar panels on your roof for 30 euro per year or something? But then eventually through the years, you will pay less money for your electricity bill or something, because it's connected to my electricity, meter. And normally a solar panel would of course cost a lot of money. But now we, the people who live in the street with rental houses, also have a solar panel on our roof. But of course it wouldn't be possible without the corporation of all these houses, the house corporation, to coming up with this initiative, this proposal. And for example, in my parents' house, we're also living in an apartment, but from a different house corporation. They changed all the windows from all the houses, the whole neighborhood, to triple layered glass instead of double layered. And they also improved the walls of the flat, which makes the isolation much better for each house. And therefore people will use less gas, and they have to, also the heat, doesn't have to go that high in the winter because it's isolated that well. So it's all for the environment. And I think they were also in the talks of putting some solar panels on those flats as well. So stuff like that is happening everywhere here in Amsterdam or in the Netherlands. And that's why the people just get this mindset in a natural way already. Yeah, I mean, it is not extraordinary to, think about making the planet, a better place. The government is doing stuff also like making bridges for animals. Like sometimes, over a road there's a bridge connecting two trees for squirrels so they can cross. Or sometimes there's a little tunnel for animals so they can cross safely through the tunnel instead of, you know, going over the road. Even now recently, like a few days ago, some turtles are being dumped, or people, you know, let us set turtles free in some parks of Amsterdam. But actually, it's not so good for the turtles. I mean, it's a slow death. At least that's what it said in the news. So now other people took the initiative to come up with this Save the Turtle thing, website and everything, hotline. If you see a turtle, they'll come and save the turtle out of the park. What I mean to say is that initiatives like this are constantly popping up everywhere. So, what was the question actually? It is not something just for wealthy people. But I understand you might think, yeah, the government, the municipality, we can't do anything about it, but that's also people you are voting for, of course. The government are also people, the municipality, those are people. Of course, it's not just some company run by computers or robots. No, the more people in anywhere would get this mindset, you know, everyone is influencing each other, and it will all be okay. The last question. Question number 6. What did you learn from your filming about True Price and about Schoon Schip? I didn't know anything about True Price or Schoon Schip, but actually True Price, the supermarket, I knew the supermarket already, but I didn't know it was True Price. I didn't know anything about the system, but I knew the Dutch name De Aanzet, this supermarket, because their bread is amazing. But anyway, so it was funny to be there. I really learned a lot. It was very nice from Maarten to explain everything to me and to you guys, so to us. And I had no idea about this, with True Price at all. So I think it's a great initiative, and like he said, 8 stores in the Netherlands are now going to do the same, right? He said that. Yeah, this is the start, you know. This is the start, and maybe eventually regular supermarkets will all show their True Price everywhere. Schoon Schip, I think it might take a bit longer to be adapted to more places in the world. Unlike the True Price supermarket, I think that would be much easier and quicker. But Schoon Schip is a really big, big initiative. Unfortunately, I was not able to talk with a resident. Like I said, all the people I met were people just visiting there, just like me, myself. And one woman who had to pick up her kid ASAP, so unfortunately that didn't happen. But I still hope that you got kind of an idea of what Schoon Schip is. I wonder how long it will take before something like that can be expanded to other places in the world, or I don't know, maybe just in this country or in other countries. Yeah. Now it's 47 households, so it really is just the beginning of something. And what I also noticed about Schoon Schip is that yes, they do share their bicycles, as is being said. I didn't see them, unfortunately, but all those bikes you saw in the B-roll, those were just their personal bikes. So I wonder how many people are actually using those shared e-bikes. Because, yeah, it seemed like there were quite some bikes also on that, in front of their houses. All in all, it's all good, all these initiatives, and I hope that the world eventually will become a better place. That's what it's all about, because, otherwise we're just destroying the earth together. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sure I did, and thank you for watching.